Okay, so this is going to be a video about a few things that I've come across on Reddit. First one, the Mandela effect subreddit. Also, there's a subreddit, a smaller called I think it's pronounced round dots. Round dots. It's a takeoff like cosmonauts or astronauts, but it is for people that use quantum number generators to basically put in GPS systems and then go to locations that are so random because it's a quantum number generator that they believe they're breaking the cause and effect pattern of existence, and so where they go, they're going to a completely new place that they would have never gone to had they followed the normal, cause and effect destiny of their life. If you believe in mechanistic universe or whatever. So you've got them. Then you've got everyone's heard the one manifestation where if you do this, that, or the other, like things will come to you, and like however that works out, which I don't think, no one, I've never heard anyone explain that one really well. And then what I can bring to the table due to some traumatic mind spirit events early in my life, void state. So void state, first of all, just being a state where there's nothing and there never was anything and there never will be anything, and it's complete. And the only thing you bring to void state is yourself. And if you knew what you were doing in void state, you could create things in void state. But not having ever been there or no one telling me about it, it really becomes a hell state. Simply for the eternity of it. I mean, if you think you're stuck in there's this Goosebumps book short story when I was a kid about a kid who had a remote controller and he could use it to change reality. He could make things fast forward or rewind, or he could mute people or whatever. And the end of the short story is everything goes black, and he looks at his remote and says battery dead, and that's the end of the story. So that gives you the kind of idea of what voice state can be to someone who was not trained or prepared. But what void state is allowing me to do is to categorize some of these unexplainable phenomenon that, thanks to the internet, people are getting together and see are very real. And they're still skeptics, but the skeptics don't say skeptics wrong. The Mandela effect. If you go to the Mandela effect subreddit, like there are lists and lists of things where basically what the Mandela effect. The reason it's called the Mandela effect is it started. This phenomenon first became mainstream or somewhat public when there was basically a situation where thousands and thousands of people remembered newspaper stating that Nelson Mandela died in prison. And he never died in prison, at least not in this universe. He didn't die in prison. And so people were like, wait, so he's still alive? And I don't know, this might have came out before he died, I don't know. But the point is, basically a lot of people thought, not only did they think that he died in prison, but they all could remember the newspaper article, or it was like on the front page, or blah, 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 or whatever. They all could do it. So, very unusual. But now, thanks to the internet, we've got people sharing different things. Like, for example, what got me on the Mandela effect is the Fruit of the Loom logo. Holy shit. I wear Fruit of the Loom, underwear growing up my entire childhood, and I remember the logo because it's on the back of the thing, so if you're putting your underwear on, front right or back, backwards or whatever. And it's very clear. I don't want to spoil it. Okay, so think about what it looks like. So you use a lot of fruit. Do you think the fruit's in something, or do you think the fruit's just by itself? Because to me and to a lot of people, there was the cornucopia. If I tell you cornucopia for the loom, that's hopefully going to be like, oh yeah, it was, no. Well, guess what? Apparently in this universe, cornucopia never existed. So Fruit of the Loom has only been fruit. There's never been a cornucopia. Holy shit. So that's when I felt sick to my stomach. Now, I only figured this out. Void State was in 2007. That's when I felt, finding out Fruit of the Loom is not real. There's nothing compared to Void State. But yeah, that kind of made me feel sick for a little bit. And there's several of them. Like some people won't remember them that way, and some people will. For example, I remember when I was a little kid watching a Looney Tunes where there was a Mona Lisa picture in the cartoon, and he flipped her mouth upside down to make her smile. Like, I very clearly remember that. And some people remember her having a serious face, and even as I'm talking to you right now, you might think she has like a somber or serious face. But in this universe, go check her out, she's smiling. No joke, it is not a hint of a smile, she's very clearly smiling. So there's that. And that's just a few of them. It goes on. Those are the main two that really like fucked with my head a little bit. And some of them may not be real. Like there's just one like how the sun used to be more yellow than it is now. Like how, depending on the part of the world you're in, maybe it is. Who knows? But anyways, it's not, it's hit or miss. But even if it's just one and the rest are wrong, it's still an effect that needs to be explained. So, which brings me to another part of my story, but the manifestation part. Okay, so there was a gentleman I was friends with who, whenever I went to a seminar at my school, I went to a martial arts school, and he would do this. We'd have this joke going on that after the end of the day, everyone there goes out to eat. And no matter what restaurant we go out to eat to, no matter how busy it is, he parks next to the door, not in a handicap spot. And you're like, maybe after like a time or two, you're like, oh yeah, great, that's just a great coincidence. But once you've been there a few years, and seminars last 4 or 5 days, every night going, and it's not just like, no, he gets a good parking spot. It's always fucking by the door. And then you got to be like, why is there not a handicap spot by the fucking door on this restaurant? What the fuck? And so, but can you see the similarities here though between always going to a place where something, shouldn't be there, but it is, and then with the Mandela effect, like for example, here's another Mandela effect. Apparently, about a third of the people think the thinker statue has his fist on his head. I know for a fact it's on his chin. I checked with my friend and my teacher. They both thought it was a chin thing. There are pictures of kids on field trips posing with the thinker statue with their hand on their forehead when it's very clear that his hand's not on his forehead. So there's that. And, God, this fucks with me even more. This may not be true, but the last time I checked on the Mandela effects, the thinker is not this, it's this, and he's kissing it. It's like that. So it's not the fist, very clearly fist here, it's like that. Yeah. And the roundhouse people I told you about who use the quantum number generators, the locations they go to have some freaky messages, I've seen one guy went to a place where there was a bird that didn't fly away. Like, he talked to it, and it finally flew away when he was about to touch it, but it was just stood there and it stared at him and walked up to it. And then, you can be like, oh, this can happen, this can happen on its own. But just check it out. Go to right now. It's some really freaky shit that happens. But what you got with the quantum number generator are these people, when they choose, which, by the way, you can check out the subreddit, they talk about how there is a resistance against them to going these places. Like, things will start happening, making them not want to go, or things will make them busy or whatever. Again, you think it's crazy, but this video is about this phenomenon. So you got those people basically going to locations which, based off the paradigm I'm about to tell you, don't exist until they get there. I know that sounds crazy, but let's go back to my friend who always parks on the door of the restaurant every time, even when it's busy. He gets there and a car is pulling out of the spot that's right next to the door, and then he pulls in the spot right next door. I've gone times where I was like, I'm going to go there before him. I'm going to get there first, and there's a spot, I'm going to take it. And then I go there, and then he's there first. Like, what the fuck? And, so how does that work? Okay, so the laws of physics, the Newtonian and even relativity, Einstein's relativity, laws of physiks cannot apply in these situations. It's very clear that when you're looking for something and you find it immediately and it's extremely rare and there's no chance it can be there, but if you find it anyway because you need it, like those things, you have to think, if you think on a Newtonian physics level, that thing, whatever you found, had to have been there, waiting for you for however long. But then the question was, would it have been there had you not been searching for it? And that's where void state comes into play. So in void state is the absence of reality. So when you create something in void, you release it, and then you come back into reality, and whatever you created, you'll encounter, like to the nth degree detail that you decide to do it. So it's extremely dangerous. But then the question is, if you never went to void state, where did that thing come from? Where did it exist before you went there? It's like the round knots with the quantum number generator. Where were the locations before they? Because there's there's people around. It's like, oh wow, there's a graveyard right behind my subdivision. I never knew it was there. It's like, how the fuck did you not know a graveyard? Like, not a small graveyard, but a fucking graveyard half a block down from your house. You never, how many years have you lived there? What the fuck? Anyway, but things like this is how it works. Because from when you're in the present moment, these things seem to make sense. But when you're not in the present moment, he's like, oh, it's just coincidence, it's coincidence. And then the question is, well let's prove it. Do it again. But you can't do it again because all this stuff. The way the void state works, the way the quantum number generator works, the way my friend does the parking spot is that the mechanism is in the present moment, and in the present moment, there's no anticipation of the future, and there's no memory of the past. So there goes the Mandela effect, is where your memories are shifting of what was and what is. So the present moment, there's no memories, and then there's no anticipation. So when you're thinking about getting that parking spot at the restaurant, it's not going to happen if you're already thinking about it. You've literally got to be in a place where you're so caught in the immediacy of just the now. If you even try to do anything in this place, it'll just break it. Because if you start to do something, now you're thinking about doing it, and then it's broke. You're not in the present moment anymore. So maintaining this as a meditative state is difficult, but then living your life this way is extremely difficult. But it is also necessary. So like when you think about people, like when you hear like the Buddha reached enlightenment or whatever, this absolutely included being in the present moment. The idea of being asleep, let's say you're not enlightened, you're asleep. When a Buddha would walk around crowds of people, what he would be, and he looks at them, they're all absent. None of them are present with him in that place. They're all thinking about something that's going to happen or remembering something that has already happened. And it's called being asleep because when you're asleep, your mind is somewhere else. Like, that's what being asleep is when your mind's somewhere else. And if you are able to somehow get to the point where you live masterfully in the present moment as your just daily life, and you look at, almost everyone, they're all going to look like they're asleep because you're in that place aware of what's going on in the immediacy of the now, and nobody else is. So what happens to someone who is like that? You can say they're enlightened or whatever, but that makes it seem like it's like a really far off big deal kind of thing, when really it's not. Like, if you know the mechanisms for this, you can meditate. You probably do it in a few months or a few years and just, just become like a hermit, go to the woods for like hike the Appalachian Trail by yourself, and then, have an awakening or whatever. And then, but the key is it's extreme mental discipline. It's like you gotta be a fucking Vulcan, like, to do this. But I've been doing it for 6 years, and I can maintain it not very well. I can do it to the point, but then it's like, oh, I'm doing it. But then you're thinking about what you were doing, and you break it. So it's got to be an egoless state. So you're like, oh, I wonder how long I've been doing it now. Oh, fuck. Because then you're thinking about the past. Anyway, it's extremely difficult. And as you're hearing me explain this to you, I'm hoping you can come across how this is difficult, and how the manifestation things and the void state things and these things can be extremely powerful in how they manipulate reality, but how it's, very rarely done. And to the people that can do it, you can't do it very well because of these things. Yeah, I guess I said the Rondox people have the right idea, because with the quantum number generator, they basically get they get that to be the present moment for the split second it takes to give them the random number, and then they use that, which is pretty clever. But it doesn't have to be that way. I think people were meant to live in the present moment, and in that case, your reality is continuously changing in a way that's good. If you're not trying to make this religious, but if you find God in the present moment and you make that connection, then being in the present moment, your reality will move into a better and better and better place over the long term. And you aren't thinking of it like that. You're not thinking like, oh, I'm going to a better place, because you're not in the present moment anymore. Or you're thinking like, oh, things got so much better. You're not in the present moment anymore. Like you really, it's a magical place. It's a place without ego, and a place where you can't, when all these amazing things happen in the present moment, you don't even notice. And that's why they can happen. Because if you notice them, then it's like, oh shit. And then whatever was happening is not happening anymore. So, I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to say here. Basically, the way that our mind perceives reality with like the mechanistic Newtonian physics, scientific materialism, when you come across things like this, or come across people that do things like this, it becomes very clear that that is not how reality functions. Like on a fundamental level, reality is much more fluid, and it's like, do you know what's outside your room before you go outside? Like, you remember what it was like, and you're anticipating it being the same, and it's always been that way for your entire life. Whenever you exit a room, it's always, you're not surprised. You don't walk outside into a void abyss or whatever. But you make decisions and your reality changes, and then the people in the reality are like, are those the same people as they were before? And it's like, well, yeah. It's like, well, then why do they remember things differently than I do? Like on the Mandela effect, like, are they the thinker with the thing on their forehead? Like, I hope this is making sense. This goes a lot. Basically, there's a lot of different things happening here, but I'm trying to figure out a way to describe it so it's on one. It's one mechanism. All these void state and manifestation, the dots, and there's more and more. You can do dimensional. Check out subreddit dimensional jumping. It's even crazier, and it may not be true, but it looks like it has potential. And then glitch in the matrix, stuff like that. These things, if everyone were aware of the rule of the present moment and the effects the present moment could have, everybody would be like, oh yeah, of course that happens, instead of being like, what the fuck's going on? And I can say, I see it that, from a bird's eye view because of my past and what I've had to go through. And so, when I recognize these things after I saw a bunch of them, like, okay, so this is how it works. And talking about it, it's even hard for me to think. Like, I'm trying to describe it to you. You guys are probably getting an idea from just listening to me just rant on and on and on. But like, it's not something you can think about how it works. You can't conceive about how it works because when you conceive of it, it doesn't exist, and when it's working, you're not conceiving. So, but anyway, yep. I hope you can get to sleep tonight knowing that all your memories are fake and nothing matters, and tomorrow won't exist. And no, I'm just kidding. No, I actually did verify memories are real, so you're good. But still fucked up.